taking a look at the defensive core from this season, a preview of the Flames on Wednesday, and much more on this episode of Locked On Anaheim Ducks.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome, everydayers. Thanks for making Locked On Anaheim Ducks your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. I'm Kyle Carr, and I'm a lifelong Anaheim Ducks fan, and I've spent multiple years covering collegiate sports, including college hockey. But today, we're talking Anaheim Ducks. We're going to get into a little bit of the review of the defensive core for Anaheim this year and just how well they've been doing. Then we're going to take a look at the history of the Ducks this week and just some things that happen as it is the end of the season. This is usually when the records are set and things start to come out as far as records for the years and everything like that. So we'll take a look at the history of the team in this week. And then we're going to have a little preview of the Flames game on Wednesday. We kind of know, as they did just recently play the Flames, but we'll get into just how the Flames have been and what to look forward to on Wednesday's game. So first, getting into the defensive core review, looking at just kind of how overall the defense has been this year. There are some players that were traded out that are not on this list, but looking at where they are now with who is still on the team, we'll just have a little breakdown of their numbers and everything like that. Starting off, we have, of course, Radko Gudas, the captain. Say what you will about this guy. He has been a solid force in the back end as far as hits go, and he does have a little bit of offense, but he's been slipping a little bit towards the end of the season. But he did provide the Ducks a pretty solid back end for at least setting the example for the younger defensemen coming into the game. He has played 76 games this season. He does have only one goal, which was a pretty decent goal for him. And then an assist, he's got 15 this year. So not too much on the scoring with 16 this year. But like I said, he's more playing that shutdown role and trying to create more good habits for the younger players. And it's the hits where he really takes charge of this team. He did have, he's at a +3 on the season right now, which is pretty decent. If you look at the recent games, you're probably thinking, how is this guy +3 with how many goals he's given up? But for the season, he is at a +3. He has 78 minutes in penalty minutes this year. So kind of had some issues staying out of the box, but nothing too crazy. Hits 251. He's one of the league leaders in hits this year. And that hip check of his has been absolutely dominant. Little slower the last few games, but there are some great Gudas highlights of him blowing dudes up with the hip check and then also just regular hits into the boards and open ice hits like that. Everything that you love to see out of the Butcher. And blocks. He has had 162 block shots this year, just eating pucks left and right out in the back end. Takeaways, only 12, so could be a little bit improved on the takeaways. And unfortunately, this is the stat that kills him. He leads the team with 94 giveaways. Pretty solid season for the Butcher this year. Some improvements could obviously have happened, but with his seniority in the league, he's still playing a solid game, and having a +3 captain definitely helps with the younger crowd. One of the guys that definitely was a kind of a flash in the pan or a little bit of a shocker this season was Drew Hellison. Honestly, was not expecting much out of him this year, and he's been doing really, really well for the Anaheim defense. He's at 51 games played. He has 4 goals and 9 assists for a total of 13 points. Not bad at all, not bad at all. He is +10, which is phenomenal, especially being on the defense. Being +10 when you're one of those more bottom pairs, that is absolutely great. Gotta love having a plus 10 defenseman. He's at 43 PIMs, so a little bit more disciplined than Gudis, but that comes with not playing as much ice time as well. But he is a pretty solid, disciplined player. He's got 56 shots so far this season, and he's a little less on the hit train with 89 hits, and he's got 67 blocks, 15 takeaways, which is a lot better than Gudis, and half the giveaways of Gudis with only 43. So overall, a really, really solid season for Drew Ellison. Definitely like having him in the lineup. It makes things a little bit more relaxed when you can rely on your third pairing and second. Any of all the pairings, it's nice to have confidence in. But when those lower guys, the guys that aren't usually the big headline guys, are putting up a solid defensive game, it helps you relax a little bit as a forward. Then we got moving on to Oliver Killington. Chillington, I should say. He just came over to the team in the trade, so his stats don't really reflect much of a full season, but he's been at least showing up in not giving up points really, as he's only played 5 games for the Ducks so far. Does has 0 goals, 0 assists, 0 points. He's a +0. He's only have 2 PIMs, so 2 penalty minutes, 2 hits, 1 he's got 2 shots and 1 hit, and then he's got 3 blocks, no takeaways, and only 2 giveaways. So at least he's playing a solid game when he does show up. And he did play forward for one of his first games with Anaheim. So it was a little mix up there by the coach. But with the solidity that the defensive core has had, it's kind of hard to squeeze him in. And the forwards were down. So, hey, get him some play time. Then we got Jackson Lacombe. This guy, I actually have to make a hominis dominus. In my last episode, I said that Lacombe had 50 points. I was mistaken. I was looking at McTavish's points. Lacombe only has 43 points, but still, that's a massive, massive step up for his sophomore season this year. He's at 70 games played. He's got 14 goals, 29 assists for that total of 43 points. That is beautiful to see. He has been so involved on the rush, and when you want to have an offensive defenseman who also is not really giving up a lot of chances on the back end, he's a huge, solid shutdown player. He is -1, so a little interesting that he's paired up with Gudis, and he's a -1, whereas Gudis is a +3. But when you get left out there for a little extra ice time or however the changes go, stuff happens. He's got 20 penalty minutes so far, so 10 penalties taken this year. He's at 127 shots. He's got 64 hits, so not as physical as Gudis, but he doesn't really need to play a physical type game as he is very quick and he's got a very strong stick and he's able to angle guys off very well. And then he's got 122 blocks. So looking at that top pair, 162 blocks for Gudis and 122 blocks for Lacombe. Those two are completely just getting in front of the netminders and eating up pucks left and right. That's what you want to see from that top pair. Takeaways, 33, so he's a little bit better at taking the puck away. Like I said, he's got a really solid stick. He's really good at angling guys off, really good at reading the play and seeing where guys are going, and he does not budge once he's locked onto a puck. He does have 73 giveaways. Again, when you're the top pair, you're out there more. There's more chances to have the pucks taken away. He is only a sophomore defenseman, so not really a number to be too concerned about, as it's probably going to go down in the next couple of years. But with everything else that he's been providing for the team, I'm not going to eat him alive for those 73 giveaways. Moving on to Pavel Mintyukov. He's at 64 games played. He's got 5 goals, 14 assists, and 19 points for the total season. He's a +1. He has 18 penalty minutes, 69 shots, 77 hits, 85 blocks, 13 takeaways, and 59 giveaways. For a younger player like Mintyukov, he's played almost the same amount of games as last year. I think if not more this year, but pretty comparable, and he's been doing an outstanding job. Love to watch Mintyukov play. He's much more physical. Think he kind of had a little bit of a sophomore slump in certain aspects of his game, but he's definitely been a lot more solid in the last recent few games. And a big addition to the defensive core this year, Jacob Trouba. Love having him on the train. The Ducks train. Now we got the Trouba train equals the Ducks train. It's all great with the trains over here in Anaheim. He's got 49 games played with Anaheim with 1 goal and 7 assists. 8 points. He's a -2, unfortunately, but he's overall, I am very impressed with the way he does play when he is out there. 42 penalty minutes. He's got 60 shots, 117 hits, also bringing that Trouba train over. 133 block shots. He's also eating pucks. He's got the third most block shots on the team. And he's got 23 takeaways and 62 giveaways. And then our young man, Olin Zellweger, he's kind of had a weird season with sitting in, sitting out, being played, not being played. Cronin just really wants to get him to view the game and really see what moments are going on. But that was a whole big reason for Pat Verbeek to move from Dumoulin, was to be able to get Zellweger and Minchikov on the ice at the same time, not on the same lines, but playing in the same games. And he's at 59 games played. He's got 7 goals, 12 assists for 19 points. He's at a plus or minus of 0. And he's got 20 penalty minutes, 124 shots, getting involved. He also is one of the power play quarterbacks out there. 36 hits, 71 block shots, 19 takeaways, and 59 giveaways. So for the totals on the defense so far this year, there's 32 goals, 86 assists, and 118 points with 637 hits. Definitely a lot more of a physical season for the Ducks this year. Just to compare that to last year's group of Fowler, Gudis, Zellweger, Lacombe, and Minchikov, there was 19 goals, 92 assists, and 111 points. So they have 7 more points this year, and they have 200, almost over 200 more hits this year. As last year, they only had 422 hits in that core. There are players not included in that list, like Euro Vakanainen, that played a lot of games, and Ilya Lyubushkin, who kept Zellweger's play time down last year. Those guys are not included in those numbers, so it would probably be a little bit higher if we did include those, but around the same amount of players, other than Cam Fowler. Those pretty much the exact same people looking at the numbers wise. But looking into numbers and talking about the history there, we're going to look at some historical moments that happen in the Ducks history. I was going to do just a day in the history, but so much happened in this week that we're just going to look at the entire week coming up next. Do you ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? I do it all the time. Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. I've got subscriptions galore. I've got different accounts, and it's so hard to keep track of all of them. You see them just disappearing from your bank account statements. But when you have Monarch Money, everything is right there. You get a full visual of where money is going, where it's not going, where it's coming from, or where it's not coming from. Everything is right there on Monarch Money. It's super simple to use and to understand. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. And now taking a look at what has occurred this week in Ducks history. Today, the 8th of April, has a few interesting markers of history. Not really great, but not, kind of some bad history record sets, but also some good stuff in its own right. So today marks, like I said, it's just a very interesting day in Anaheim Ducks history. During the 2022 to 2023 season, so 22-23, the Ducks set 2 NHL records in one single game. Cam Fowler set an individual record with the most ice time in a single regular season game, which he still holds today, with 38 minutes and 55 seconds of ice time. That's over half of the game that Cam Fowler was out there. It was against the Arizona Coyotes, and unfortunately, the Ducks did not win that game, but just insane minutes by Cam Fowler. I remember watching that game. I kind of was rooting that maybe didn't play him as much just with how not solid he was playing that game, but he was one of really the only solid defensemen that Greg Cronin could trust. So understandably why he had more than half of the game under his belt. The Ducks also set a record for the most shots allowed during a season during that 22-23 season with 3,207 shots allowed. That record is not one that really the Ducks want. They still have it, and it's very unfortunate. At least we didn't break it again. That's the one thing. Is the Ducks haven't broken it since then. But yeah, 3,207 shots against in one season. Definitely not the record that you really want to have as a team or to be known for. Some other things that happened in history, though, they currently lead the league right now. This isn't really a record, but just to kind of bring it back to this season in regards to the shots allowed, right now they do lead the league in shots allowed with 2,471. So about 800 less than this record-setting season. So at least they won't be getting anywhere close to that record, but not the thing to be leading the league in, guys. The Ducks, you guys, please just shut it down. Stop allowing so many shots. Lukas Dostal doesn't need to be setting records for that statistic. Please, we love Lukas. Don't make him leave because you guys won't protect him. Oh, boy. And then looking at some other notes here, something a little bit more positive. On April 7th, 2014, John Gibson, the man, the myth, the legend, he was the first Ducks goaltender to record a shutout in his first start with a 3-0 win over Vancouver. So completely opposite direction. Looking at a little bit more positivity from the back end. John Gibson setting a record for the first Ducks player to have a shutout in their start. And that's not the only record he set that day. He was also the youngest goaltender in Ducks history to start a game at 20 years and 267 days old. So just 100 shy of turning into his 21st birthday. He gets the start and gets a shutout. Absolutely outstanding performance by John Gibson. And we've seen everything that he's done since then, just lighting up the league. We love you, John Gibson. Heal up quick, my guy. Would be great to have you back and to have that tandem next year as well, and a healthy tandem next year. Some other historical things that happened this week. On April 9th, 2017, the Ducks had clinched their 5th Pacific Division title in a row. And that was also the last time that they have clinched a Pacific Division title. And if I'm not mistaken, that was their last year in the playoffs or second to last year in their playoffs. I don't have it right in front of me, but about that time, since it's been 7 years since the Ducks have been in the playoffs. Like I said, though, they clinched their 5th division title in a row, and it was their 6th in franchise history. And to look at when the first Pacific Division title was clinched by Anaheim, it took place April 7th, 2007. And we all know how that season went with a wonderful Stanley Cup victory. Awesome day for the Ducks that year. That was quite the week. On April 7th in 1996, Paul Kariya was the first Duck to reach 100 points in a season in a 5-3 win against San Jose. So looking at the 100-point mark, there's only 2 players that have ever broken 100 points for Anaheim. It was Paul Kariya, and you guessed it, Teemu Selanne. Teemu Selanne has the record of the most points with 109 in the 96-97 season. Kariya reached 108 points in the 95-96 season. So the season that he set up that record of being the first becoming a 100-point season, he reached 108. And then Selanne also reached 107 in 98 and 99. And then Kariya reached 101 in the 98-99 season. Corey Perry was the only other Anaheim Ducks player to even sniff 100 points with 98 in 2010, 2011, which he scored his 50th goal on April 6th, 2011. And then he went on to win the Rocket Richard Trophy. So this week has some good memories for Anaheim. This year, not so much. The last year, not so much. And the year before that, they set a record of something we really don't want to be memorized for or remembered for. So good things in this week can happen for Anaheim if they continue to improve the way that we know they can. And we know what it's like to have winning success in Anaheim. And we just are looking forward to have it back as a fan base, as analysts. And I'm sure the players absolutely would love to have 5 Pacific Division titles in a row again. Now looking at what it's going to take to get to 5 division wins, we got to look at what's going on in front of us. And one of the teams that always is a challenge for the Ducks, at least this year, they used to be a easy win, check them off the box team, and that is the Calgary Flames. So let's take a look at what's going on and what the Ducks need to prepare for Wednesday's game against Calgary up after this. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs puts your post at the top of the page and helps you reach the right candidates faster. When you got to have anyone from a project, from accountant to uh, auditor, whatever it is that you're looking for, go to Indeed, post your job there, use the sponsored jobs so you can get it right in front of the people that matter. So you actually can have someone that fulfills your job needs without having to spend a whole bunch of hassle looking at other random candidates. So now you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to indeed.com/locked on right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast, Locked On Ducks. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed is all you need. And now jumping into what's coming up on Wednesday, the Ducks are going to be taking on the Calgary Flames in the Honda Center. I've said it before, the Flames used to be known as the team that could not win in the Honda Center or the Pond, as for all your regulars back there. This year, unfortunately, was proven otherwise. The Flames came in, spanked the Ducks at home, and now they've beat Anaheim twice. Or well, technically they beat them 3 times this year, but they've beaten them twice with a 4-1 score. So let's see if the Ducks can finally figure out what is the Calgary Flames and not get swept by the team this year. Please, please, please do not let the Flames sweep the Ducks. So one of the teams that I can never, ever find myself rooting for, unless they paid me really well, but we won't talk about that. So looking at the game ahead, Nazem Kadri, he leads the Flames with a 31 goals, and he started the scoring against the Ducks in their last meeting in Calgary. It was a very, very quick goal right up the hop. Trouba tried to pinch after a couple physical hits by Colangelo, and unfortunately, it ends up in the back of the net. He also leads the Flames in points with 61. So he is their points leader right now and goal scorer. He's just been an absolute tear for Calgary out there. But ironically, the assist leader for Calgary this year is Mackenzie Weegar with 37. He only has 5 goals, but he's got 37 assists. He is out there just feeding the puck to everyone else. He doesn't. No. I don't want to score, but you guys go ahead. I'll give you some points. Blake Coleman, this guy, he has scored 3 goals on the Ducks this season in their last 3 meetings, 2 of which came in the last game. Nazem Kadri scored a couple on the Ducks as well. So those are the 2 guys that definitely Anaheim needs to pay attention to and lock down, as Blake Coleman was scoring some nasty, nasty goals against Anaheim this year. The Flames have lost Connor Zary on April 5th due to an injury, and still have Anthony Mantha out he's on injury reserve. So I don't think he's going to be coming back at all, unless possibly if the Flames make it into the playoffs, they might see him again, but looks like he is donezo for the season. Right now, the Flames are 6-4 in their last 10 games. So they're in the winning realm right now, but they did drop one to Vegas recently, and then they just beat the Sharks. So they're kind of going a little bit back and forth, but overall, they're above 500 in the last 10 games. They have scored 29 goals and allowed 28 against in those 10 games. So, not really, they're either winning by a lot or they're losing by a lot. They're kind of right there in the middle. They've scored 5 power play goals out of the last 28 attempts, giving them a 17.8% success rate in their power play of recent, and they've allowed 2 power play goals against on 20 attempts. So that means their penalty kill is at 90%. They are buzzing on the penalty kill. So Ducks, with the way that their power play is going, they most likely will not be getting a power play goal tomorrow. But who knows? We can all have faith and pray, and whatever you need to do to get the Ducks some power play goals for the rest of the year, go do that. Please, please, please. The penalty kill, though, does need to be locked on. Their penalty isn't that strong at only 17.8%, but still, with the Ducks leaking lately, do not want to give up any extra man goals there. The Flames have been shooting the puck a lot. That's one thing that I did notice is they have a 32.6 average of shots per game in the last 10 games. So they're definitely creating a lot of offense, and they're only giving up 28.5 shots per game. So they're kind of locking it down a little bit more. They did last play against San Jose and came away with a 3-2 win. And Dustin Wolf was the first star of the game. He had a 935 save percentage. Wolf has been an absolute standout for the Flames. The Ducks will most likely be playing against Wolf as they didn't play today, Tuesday. So they did have some time off, which allows Wolf to get the net again. If it was a back-to-back, it would probably be Big Dave save Vladar, who's only at an 895 save percentage this year. So unfortunately, it does look like Wolf's going to be in there, and he currently has a 911 save percentage on the entire season and has an average of 2.62 goals against. So Ducks need to figure out Dustin Wolf. Last game, they were leading in the shot column. It was just Wolf stood on his head, and he kept them out of it. And unfortunately, they couldn't solve them other than the one goal that they got. So if they can get a little bit more offense, get in the eyes of Wolf, take away the lanes, and try to get some deflection goals, then they might have a little bit of success here. But just trying to take him on straight on is probably not going to lead to any type of success. And like I mentioned before, the Flames are 3-0 over the Ducks this season. Let's see if the Ducks can at least sneak one out of the 4 games for the year. And the Flames, if the Ducks win this game, they are going to be helping play spoiler because the Flames are currently 4 points out of a playoff spot with 87 points, and they have 5 games remaining. That's only 10 points that the Flames can get if they win every game the rest of the season. And if the Ducks can keep them out and make it only 8 points, it just allows the Wild and the Blues to keep moving forward. And like I said, the Flames are one of those teams that I just cannot find myself ever rooting for. So to keep the Canadian teams out of the West would be fantastic, as Vancouver and the Flames are both out of it. Let's see what the Ducks can do to keep some of the Western Canadian teams out of the playoffs for this year, just because I'm feeling petty today. But not feeling petty in the way that things have gone out there with the Locked On Network. We love everyone here on the network, and it's so exciting that there is a new show called NHL Locked On NHL Game Night, which has some of your favorite hosts like Eddie Garcia hosting every night, going over the games. They're bringing it to you every single day to talk about what's going on, and it involves every host along the NHL Locked On Network. So please, please go check it out. And thank you for making Locked On Anaheim Ducks your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On NHL Game Night. Every game, every night until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. get local analysis on a national scale. Find NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can also find Locked On Anaheim Ducks in all those places as well. And if you're listening, please go to the YouTube and hit subscribe. Everyone has a YouTube. It helps out us and it helps out the network, and it allows you to have a lot more of your favorite Locked On content. Again, I am Kyle Carr. You be good out there.